Okay, hello. This is the second demonstration tutorial for being able to draw polygons for use as candidate IMA proposals for the upcoming Regional Expert IMA workshop. So in this demo, what I'm going to show you is three things. I'm going to show you how we can upload a file, in this case a Google Earth file, a KMZ, which we made in a previous demo. I'm going to show you how we can actually create a new shapefile to be able to create a new polygon in QGIS. This is a free GIS program mapping software. And I'm also going to show you how we can actually use an underlying layer of information to help inform how we might draw a boundary. So here we have this area. This is the Avacha Gulf in Kamchatka in Russia, and it's an area which could potentially be important for foraging killer whales. So what we're going to do is, if we wanted to load any previous layers we were working with, we simply go to Layer and then Add Layer, and in this case add a vector layer. And what we can do is we can actually scroll to and find a layer that we're interested in. There we go. And in this case we just go to the source of what we're interested in. Here we got the Avacha Gulf Sea IMA KMZ that we made in the past demo. So I've already uploaded that here, so let's go and have a look at it. And there we are. That's the layer which we created in the past demo. Now, we found out some more information now to do with the killer whales, and for the case of this example, we've determined that some of the foraging killer whales are only really foraging out to about 300 meters in depth. So they're not really using the deeper water areas. So what we can do is we can actually upload some bathymetry data. This is the JEBCO 2020 data set. And in this case what we can do is we can actually query it to give us areas which are in the dark blue, the areas which are at 300 meters of depth, and the areas beyond 300 meters of depth. And we're going to use this very basic kind of contour area to help us inform drawing our new boundary for the IMA using QGIS. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new shapefile, which we're then going to attach some information to. So to create a shapefile, all you need to do is go to Create Layer and then New Shapefile. And then very easily what you do is you can add a name in here. In this case we're going to call it the Avacha Gulf, and we need to make sure the geometry type is polygon. We don't need to add any other dimensions. This is actually not going to have any depth dimensions to it, and I always recommend using WGS 84 as your projection. This is the standard basic projection which most layers will automatically be created in. This is because it will upload into many different types of GIS software and will usually overlay over different types of projections that may be used for different regional mapping systems. So in this case, for what we're doing for this example, we don't need to add any fields. We're not adding any other information into here. So then all we need to do is press OK. So I've actually already created a Avacha Gulf candidate IMA shapefile. But in this case, when we actually look at it, we'll actually see that it has no dimensions right now. We actually have to add these dimensions to it. So what we need to do is, before we edit any of the boundaries or create new boundaries, we need to toggle the editing of this, and you'll see that there's numerous toolbars come up when you actually load QGIS, but I always recommend going to right click on a layer and then actually go down to toggle editing from there. So now you'll see that there's a little pencil has been put into the box, the kind of legend box for this shapefile. And now we're actually going to start adding some information to it. And in this case, we're going to start adding a polygon feature. So you could either use the little button, which we have the little icon on the menus, or alternatively, you can go to Edit and then Add Polygon Feature. They both do the same action. So now we have a little crosshair. We have a little circle with some ticks around it. This allows us now to draw a new shapefile. So in this case, we're going to keep on the boundary, our rough boundary from before. And what we can do is we can then click, and then you'll see we've got a little light red line. We're now going to use this to now only click around the area of about 300 meters in depth. Again, you can be as kind of coarse, as kind of rough as you'd like to be drawing this line. Once again, as I said before, the IMA Secretariat will usually refine these boundaries as part of the IMA process with the points of contact for an area and also through the review process. So now I'm just very basically moving along through this area. Again, as I said, you can be as detailed as you want to be, or to get around this area of the land. So we're doing this very, very quickly. Again, you can take as much time as you like to get that, but for now, this is fine. And then when we are finished drawing our area, we simply click the right mouse button. And in this case, we want to know what this feature is called. I recommend calling it the same name. I'm going to call it the Avacha Gulf Sea IMA. And there we go. And we're going to give it an identification code. So we're going to call it number 1. And there we are. So here we do. So we've now got this area. We're going to untoggle the editing, and we are going to save the changes we've made to that file. And then, as you can see, if we turn off the other background layers, we now have this new layer for the candidate IMA. So I'm now going to show you how we can now take a shapefile like we have here. Now you could send this directly to the task force alongside any other forms which are being submitted for the candidate IMA review, or you can upload this to the online platform being used during the workshop called C-Sketch, and that will be the I'll be showing you how to do that in the next demo. So thank you very much for watching this demo.